Hey guys, this is James Foord from the Pragmatic Investor, and today I'm going to take the chance to show you exactly how I use the Seeking Alpha platform to make my investment decisions. So you're going to see kind of everything that goes through my mind when I'm looking at different stocks, and basically, just what I do from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep. So let's jump right into it. All right. So first off, this is basically first thing I look at every morning is the Seeking Alpha main page. Hopefully, most days, you don't see all this red up here, but nonetheless, that's not important for right now. What I like to look at most of all is this trending section. So both the trending analysis and the trending news. I think the trending news is a great way to kind of get a good sense of what's happening in the market. Usually you've got the most important news items, so that's certainly pretty good. Kind of related to that, you usually kind of see some interesting articles on the trending section that probably related to some important news. Always great to kind of stay on top of things, just to look at this little trending section. And also, if we scroll a little bit further down, you also have another interesting trending section down here, which I also find quite useful. Here you can see the most searched stocks on Seeking Alpha and also the most traded stocks. So again, if something interesting is going on in markets, this is a great place to start, right? We can also see here how these stocks have moved. For example, we can see CrowdStrike, it's gone down 10%. Oh, what's happened? We can see Immunity Bio up 12%. Okay, so we can then click into these tickers and kind of have a look at what's happening, right? Going to the main section, if there's anything important, you can find it here on the news. Oftentimes, especially with the popular stocks, there'll be some recent analysis that, will probably shed some light if there's been some big stock movements. But, this is a good place to start your research, basically. I mean, CrowdStrike right now, as I understand, it's having some issues with the whole AI narrative, just the latest victim of the AI narrative. But, what are you going to do? Anyway, carrying on, when I'm looking at a stock to invest in, obviously one of the first things I would do is actually go into some of the different analysis. Now, what I found really helpful actually about Seeking Alpha is you get the different ratings here. So, I obviously like to get a balanced view of what's going on. So, I like to read an article that is maybe a sell to see what the bulls are saying, what the bears are saying, and maybe a more neutral approach, like someone who's got a hold rating, right? And now, next up, once you are doing research, what I find most useful potentially is, it's all this data we have here, valuation section, always really very useful. Growth, profitability, again, also interesting information. The earnings estimates is likely one of the most interesting because, with the earnings estimates, you can not only get a sense of the valuation, but you can get a sense of the forward valuation, right? So you can see here the forward PE throughout the years, for upcoming years for CrowdStrike, and also revenue estimates. Another thing that I really like to do oftentimes, especially when I'm writing an article, is kind of compare a company to its peers, right? And that's very easy if we go into here into this peers section. This is definitely, again, very, very good because, obviously, stocks don't trade in a vacuum, they trade in a market. So it's always very, very helpful to have a look at basically what stocks are doing, how they're, for example, how the valuation relates to other stocks in the sector, things like this. Of course, I will say, sometimes you need to adapt the peers a little bit. I don't think necessarily that Global Foundries is a peer with CrowdStrike, so you kind of have to pick your own when it comes to that. But obviously, very, very useful tool right there, right? And in terms of doing stock research, that's pretty much where I leave things. I mean, the other great thing about Seeking Alpha that I personally obviously use a lot is any stock that you have in your portfolio or that you want to follow, you basically click here, you get all the updates straight to your inbox, which again is really, really useful. And yeah, and then there's the factor grades, of course. This is a nice little snapshot you can always have. That also includes the quant rating, Seeking Alpha's quant rating, which can be quite handy at different times. And yeah, that's pretty much what I do in terms of on a preliminary basis, kind of having a quick look at what the company is doing. Oh, this, of course, whenever there's earnings, first thing you do, obviously go to the transcripts and insights. Is again, super, super valuable information. I particularly like Seeking Alpha. It has the transcripts for the earnings calls. That's really, really good information because, that's when you really get to see or hear rather management talk about the company, right? And of course, you've got all the SEC filings here, very nicely organized. Stuff that potentially you could find somewhere else. Well, SEC filings for sure, but just the way that it's organized on Seeking Alpha for me, it's probably the best possible way you can organize it. And that's why, I mean, obviously this is what I do, but Seeking Alpha is easily the website that I use the most. It's literally the first thing I look at when I wake up. So yeah, that's about it when it comes to how I use Seeking Alpha. The other thing you can do on Seeking Alpha also is, I guess, you can use the screener. That's pretty useful too. So you can screen for different stocks that you like in different sectors. That's again, a pretty useful tool. But overall, that's just kind of how I like to use Seeking Alpha, really kind of keeping in the loop. And again, once you do drill down on a stock that you like, you have all that great information on the actual stock page. And again, more than anything, such great articles by all the amazing Seeking Alpha contributors, and of course, great community, right? Just go into an article and you can always find, especially on the more trending ones, great discussion. Like a lot of people, I sometimes spend more time on the comments section than I do on actual articles, but that's part of the beauty of Seeking Alpha. It's a platform, but it's also got that beautiful community element, right? And that's why I love writing. That's why I love having the Pragmatic Investor, having my own little community, my own little space where I cover stocks, from high tech, interesting growth stocks to also more secure stocks. We kind of do a little bit of everything, right? A bit of technical analysis, fundamental, and big picture macro. So anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this little breakdown. And yeah, sign up to the Pragmatic Investor if you haven't yet.